From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
I'm Thea Austin, the Public Events Coordinator for the American Folklife Center.
And I'm Steve Winnick, the writer and editor for the American Folklife Center.
And on behalf of our entire staff, we want to welcome you to the 2016 Homegrown Concert Series. In this, the 40th anniversary year of the creation of the American Folklife Center. Today we're featuring Billy McComiskey with some of his family and a few of his many friends. And this concert is very special to us in the center, and Steve here is going to tell you why in a little bit. The Homegrown series is designed to feature the very best of traditional music, dance, and narrative arts. And to do this, the Folklife Center works with many talented and dedicated folk arts coordinators from across the country and the entire world. They help us select exciting performers from the most important and representative traditions within their communities, and we bring them to DC for you.
And we also work with many important folk arts organizations across the country, and this particular concert is brought to you in partnership with the Kennedy Center's Millennium Stage. And the great thing about that is it means that you can see these same performers tonight from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Kennedy Center as well.
So just to let you know, this concert's going to be webcast, and you'll be able to see it again once it's up. But you should, now is the time to turn off your cell phones so that your rings are not archived forever, unless they're an Irish tune. Well, no, turn those off because we're going to have some great Irish tunes on stage. And now my very talented and handsome colleague is going to tell you all about Billy and his long connection with the center and our wonderful performers today.
Oh, shucks, thank you. It's true. I'm particularly excited to welcome Billy McComiskey to our stage today, and that's partly because he's an old friend and another transplanted New Yorker living in Maryland, so I love those things. But it's also true because of what Thea was talking about. It is the 40th anniversary of the founding of the American Folklife Center. So on January 2nd, 1976, President Ford signed into law the American Folklife Preservation Act, which created the American Folklife Center and placed it here at the Library of Congress. And that had been previously passed by Congress, of course. And so at that time, the Librarian of Congress was Daniel Boorstin. And what did Dr. Boorstin do? Well, of course, he got into gear and hired a director who was the wonderful Alan Jabbour and other things. But one of the very first things he did was to throw a big party, right? And he threw this party up in the Great Hall of the Library of Congress, so just upstairs from where we're standing now. And at that party, he invited some of the greatest folk musicians of the age to come and perform. And this party occurred on February 19th, 1976, so barely 6 weeks after the legislation had been passed. And the lineup included Elizabeth Cotten, John Jackson, Tony Alderman, the Country Gentlemen, and Mariachi America. But it also featured a great Irish trio called the Irish Tradition. And one of the members of the Irish Tradition was Billy McComiskey. So Billy has been associated with the American Folklife Center literally for the entire 40 years of our existence. And we've had him back numerous times, first with the Irish Tradition in 1981 and 1986, and then as a member of various other configurations of Irish music, playing here on this stage and in other stages throughout the library. That was part of the reasoning for this concert, that Billy has been here performing here at the library many times over the years, but also that he has brought up now 3 sons, and he's got 2 of his nieces with him, so he has family members that he's brought up into this tradition of Irish music. And we couldn't think of a better symbol of the passing on of these traditions for 40 years than having Billy come on stage with his family and friends and perform some of this music. And so we're very happy to welcome these performers to our stage. Please welcome Billy McComiskey with his sons Mikey and Patrick, and with Catriona and Angela Fee, his nieces, and with Josh Dukes and Myron Bretholz, 2 of his friends who've performed here before as well. Welcome Billy McComiskey with his family and friends.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Those are three reels we started off with. And, well, just to say as a side note there, a lot of Irish musicians know all the names, know all the tunes, but they don't necessarily know many of the names. If there's ever a time when names are important, it's today here at the Library of Congress, because everything's archived, and they actually want lists of what we do because it's archived for future generations. So it's not lost on us how important this is, and how proud and humble we are to be part of that process. Having said that, I hope we get the names right. The first tune is called The Hare's Paw, the second tune is called The Galway Rambler, and the third tune I think might be The Manchester Traveller, but if I find out differently, I'll email the Library of Congress next week. So, we hope you like Irish music, by the way, because that's what we're going to play for the next hour or so. Thank you. And thanks to Steve and Thea, who did that lovely introduction. They already introduced us by name, so I think you know who we are, but we'll do another one later. Right now, we'll introduce the next set of tunes, two jigs. And the first one has an interesting name. It's a rhetorical question, but it's called Will You Come Home With Me? That's the real name of it. And the second tune is actually one of those tunes that was written recently, but has passed into the tradition, which is the ultimate compliment for a newly written tune that's not from hundreds of years ago. It's from a few years ago. It's called Ohm's Law, and it was written by our man of the hour, our man of the day here, Mr. Billy McComiskey on accordion. So two jigs, traditional and Billy.
I was actually going to trade school up in Baltimore and learning to work with electricity. I'm lucky I didn't kill myself. I can hardly spell Ohm's Law, never mind do anything with it. But it turns out that Tommy, if you're familiar, have you heard of Tommy Peoples? You ever hear of the great Donegal fiddler, Tommy Peoples?
Tommy Peoples, yeah. Has he played in this room, I wonder?
So his daughter, Siobhan, was teaching a class in Ireland and taught one of our friends that lives up in the Pearl River area. There's great music in Pearl River, New York, and so Siobhan Peoples actually taught this young American friend of ours Ohm's Law. So now it's kind of one of the tunes. I don't think Siobhan realizes I made it up ages ago. So go figure. It's the great thing about the highest compliment that you can receive as a tune smith in Irish music is anonymity. Go figure that one.
If they know you wrote it, it's like, who wrote that? That tune's not very good. Well, so-and-so wrote it, but they don't know who wrote it. That's how good it is. Kind of reverse.
How's our balance? Do we like the balance, you guys? Anybody?
Yeah. Of the sound, not the musicians.
More fiddle?
That's a longer story. two hornpipes now. First one's called Kilcooley Wood, and I know it from a great album made by a group from West Clare called Fisher Street. I'm not sure where it came from before then. It might be newly composed. Again, I'll find out more and email the appropriate people next week. The second tune is a very popular session tune. You know what sessions are? They're where people get together and play, like jam sessions, they call them in jazz, and people just get together and play music for the sheer delight of it. They're not gigs, they're not usually paid, maybe a couple people. And this is one of those tunes that really gets played a lot in sessions because it's old and it's good, and dancers, Irish dancers, love to dance to this tune. And it's a hornpipe called The Boys of Blue Hill. So it might have even crossed over into the old-time tradition and gotten changed around a bit, but it's a pretty well-known and universal tune. So Kilcooley Wood and The Boys of Blue Hill, two hornpipes.
I got to go out to Frederick. This is my son Pat here. Maybe we'll play the tunes in a minute. This is Pat.
Pat McComiskey. Good morning.
This is a couple of our grandsons down here and my wife. It's really cool.
They're our cheering
Gavin and Brendan, and they're being very, very good boys.
Who's a good boy for now?
So Pat's an engineer. This is Sean, Mikey. I keep calling him Sean. He's always look at the head. So he's going up to Towson University. It's great. We all kind of got a day off. Well, I didn't get a day off. I'm just a musician anyway. So this is Mikey, and this over here is Catriona on the concertina. How do you know the concertina? Oh, she's my niece. And that's Angela there with the fiddle sitting next to her. So there were just up. Actually, there are two of three triplets. Mairead Fee. So that would be my sister Noreen Fee is Noreen McComiskey. So and Mairead and Noreen are going down to Florida later in the week for the qualifying competitions for the All World and step dancing. You know what that is, guys? And these two were just at the Flock Hill, which is the Mid-Atlantic Flock Hill, the two girls, and they won the duet competition, I guess, 14 to
just last
something.
weekend.
And there's my youngest son, Josh, over there. Actually, he's actually Sean's, probably one of our son, Sean McGlynn, is one of his very best friends. Sean will be down later on. He might even get here late. Sean is actually going for his doctorate in physical therapy up at the University of Maryland Medical School. Isn't that neat?
And he has a final exam today.
Yeah, so we had
as a student, not as a patient. And when that's done, he's going to rush down here. So you might see Sean a little later on.
And I forgot to ask him to drive slow. The last time I was down here, I got a speeding ticket. I could it was crazy down here with the tickets. $100? $100. I was very annoyed. How does this start again? And that's Myron.
I know. Thank you. You might have worked out already that the people at either end of the stage, Josh and myself, are not related by blood to the rest of the people on the stage, but it's beyond blood when it comes to music. Josh and I are related to each other, but not to the rest of the people. Right. But we're all family here, and I don't want to get all Hallmark card on you, but this music really does unite people in a way that very few other things do, any creative arts. And I think, I'm not running for anything this year, even though it's an election year, but I think we need more creative arts and less fighting. I don't know. Maybe I'm naive that way. But this is an example of it. Well, we introduced you to a couple brand new champions down there a few minutes ago, Angela and Catriona, and we're going to have a couple other champions play a set now, and that would be our friend Josh Dukes on guitar. And Josh, by the way, his day job is U.S. Army, and he's been a career man with the Army, so we thank him for his service to the country, and thank him for his service to Irish music while we're at it. Josh. Also, speaking of champions, Josh is originally from Millbrook, New York, and he has a brand new album out with his fellow New Yorker Dylan Foley, another champion, and it's called The New York Connection. Look for it in stores everywhere. It's a great album, and it's got a lot of great music on it, including Sean McComiskey, by the way, who you might see later. So Josh Dukes is going to be on guitar, playing with Billy here, Billy McComiskey, All-Ireland champion on the accordion, one of the first Americans to achieve that honor. And they're going to play The Rainy Day and The Man of the House from the playing of Patty O'Brien and Joe Burke, respectively.
Actually, The Rainy Day was, I guess the great thing about those two tunes, they're two of the, like, the preeminent players. They were the guys that kind of set the foundation for this. They're our grandson, sorry about that. So they're the guys that set the foundation for the accordion. The accordion would be kind of maybe a mid-20th century kind of instrument. And I was fortunate enough to learn both of these tunes from a man named Sean McGlynn from Tina in County Galway. And he was a carpenter. He came out like so many Irish people do. He came out just to really enjoy the United States and enjoy the music scene and make a few dollars and live his life. And I was just lucky enough to meet him and just learn so much from him. He was my best friend, and he was my best man the day that Annie and I got married. He was really just a lovely man, so great. He'd probably be sitting up here now if he hadn't passed away at an untimely death there a couple of years ago. So, would you like to hear some of the young guys playing a couple of tunes? It's great how the music kind of it's what's the word? It kind of self-perpetuating. Thank you, Pat. It's just kind of how it just kind of keeps on moving. We're all playing it for the same reason. It's like a dog whistle. We can't hear dog whistles, right? We can't hear them, the dogs can. So that's what the Irish music is. You hear it. Not everybody's going to hear it, but then you hear it, you go, oh God, I love that. And everybody that plays is in the same situation. So that's kind of what keeps the music just going along. And we're so lucky in our family. Everybody just loves it. So
I think Mikey's going to introduce these next two tunes here.
Hello.
That's Mikey McComiskey, ladies and gentlemen, Towson University.
So we're gonna play a set of jigs for you guys. The first tune, is I buried my wife and danced on her grave.
Really?
That's the name of it. And the second one is Jim Ward's, which is they're both pretty common session tunes. So we'll give these a go for you.
Mikey McComiskey, Catriona Fee, Angela Fee. And again, Mikey's senior year of Towson State University. Catriona and Angela are going into the 10th grade. So I ask you, is the music in good hands with the next generation? I think we know the answer.
We were trying to think of a couple of different tempos to throw in here. So we'll play a couple of polkas, and of course, you know, if you're an accordion player, you're supposed to play polkas, and it holds true in Ireland too. So the first one is actually from what they call the Slieve Lucra area in Ireland, and it's kind of like a combination of County Kerry and County Cork and County Limerick, which is really cool. My grandmother Nora Sweeney is from County Limerick, so it's really nice. I got this player from my great friend and a beautiful box player, Jackie Daly. I don't know if any of you ever heard of him, but he'll be around these. Yeah, give Jackie a round of applause. It'll be there on the recording next month. And the second tune. Now, Myron, you told me the name of the second tune.
Well, no, I told you the name of the first tune, Kool-Aid Polka.
Okay. And
we call the second after Lou. But
so we were trying to think of the name of the second one. It's kind of like an Irish-American tune. There was a priest living down here. He was transferred to Washington, and he played the accordion. Father Lou Thompson, and he had gotten his undergraduate degree in community organization. So he's just one of these guys. He had come up. He and our good friend Peggy Reardon, the two of them came up to a pub I was playing in the Bronx, and they asked me to come down to Washington to play for a Cayley down here because there was this lovely small little community. And as soon as I got off the plane there at the Reagan Airport, I came down from LaGuardia into Reagan Airport, National Airport they call it then, and I got off and I looked around and I went, oh my God, this is so beautiful down here. So I said to Lou, if you can get me some kind of work down here, I'll come down. And he got me a week-long gig at the Dubliner.
You know, Dubliner, the neighborhood bar, the
Right
Library
over
of Commerce.
there. And we did good. It took them about 3 years to finally fire us, and so that wasn't too bad. So we'll call this second tune Lou Thompson's. There was Lou and Peggy. Lou and Peggy, they finally just had to succumb to the fact that they were a couple. Lou left the order, and Lou and Peggy got married. They're just a lovely couple. Wonderful, wonderful people. And one of the first guys that I met down here was a man by the name of Mark Quinn, and he was from Rockaway, and he just loved to play too. He'd always play the second polka. So there you go, the Slieve Lucra one and the Irish American. up at, I think it was Gavin's, our youngest, our oldest grandsons. We were up at his birthday party a couple of weeks ago, and Annie says, why don't you all play the diamond? And we started playing this waltz. I'd written this thing, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something around there. For Dan Isaacson, he's a lovely piper that lives up in the Baltimore area. He was getting engaged, and he had gotten this diamond. He said, would you write a waltz for me and Kelly for our first waltz when we get married? I said, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea. And so his grandmother had come out from Eastern Europe in Nazi German times, and she made it all the way over here to the United States, and the single thing she brought with her was a diamond, just a diamond. And he had it, and he showed me. He says, I'm going to get this mounted. So I said, oh, that's okay. So I wrote, it seemed like such a nice thing that happened. She gave him the diamond. And so I wrote this tune, and it's called The Diamond. And next thing, Breed Harper, I guess, the great Donegal fiddler, recorded it in Ireland. And it's just one of these tunes that people like. So it's a pretty little tune. It's kind of romantic. It's kind of nice. And just to show you how arrogant I can be, I decided to couple it with a tune called Fanny Power that was written by Turlock O'Carolan. So there you go. Do you know who he is? Yeah. Good. Wow, I love his work. Kill each other.
trying to be fun. Yeah.
Do you want to say something?
No, you go ahead. You're an expert.
So, I just found out that Liz Carroll will be playing at the Smithsonian Folklife Festival. Is that true? Holy mother of God, wow. I think she's terrific. Do you? You know who she is?
You know Liz Carroll?
She wrote this really fun jig. It sounds hard, and it is hard. And when she wrote it and she sent it to me, it looked all out of whack. It didn't make any sense. And I sent her back. I said, here's a couple of changes. Maybe this will work better. And she called me and she goes, no. And that's all there was to it. And she named it after a dinosaur, and a mispronunciation of one of the dinosaurs when her son Patrick was learning how to read. He was learning a reading book about dinosaurs. And so when he got to this dinosaur, he went, the Diplodocus. And so she loved the story. She would tell everybody that. And that's what everybody calls it. It's not, how do you say it, Diplodocus or something, right? Is that it? So everybody, everywhere says Diplodocus. So I have a student in Moscow, and he says, I don't understand, I met this man, and I said, that tune is called the Diplodocus, and everybody in Moscow, when they play it, they say, it should be called the Diplodocus, because that's not right. And he says, and I'm right, and I know I'm right.
Perfect Russian accent.
This was a Skype lesson, really cool. He's an Olympic weightlifter, this guy. He's a good player. It's the Diplodocus. So we'll just play you that one tune.
Thank you. Anybody ever see videos of the old Beatles shows? Well, that kind of takes me back a little bit. They were screening girls, not screening grandkids, but it doesn't matter. It's all, we like reactions of any kind. We have a couple sets left, but before we play the next set, I want to extend a few thank yous to people here in the hall. First of all, to our hosts here, especially Steve Winnick and Thea Austin. you guys rolled out the red carpet for us, and to everybody here at the Library of Congress, I want to say thank you for letting us play in this great hall, Coolidge Auditorium. It's full of history. But especially, I want you to put your hands together, please, for Gus Voorhees, Angel the Angel, Brian McAlevey, and of course, John Regan on the sound. They did a great job in a great room. Thanks, everybody, guys.
Like to say it's an honor. It's just an understatement. I sat so many times with Sean McGlynn. I sat so many times with Larry Redigan, the great fiddle player from Dublin, Ed Reevy from Philadelphia. I met Joe Cooley and Patty O'Brien. I met these men. I knew these guys and heard them playing maybe most likely in kitchens. Once or twice they'd be allowed to play in the pubs in Ireland, very rarely in Brooklyn. It's amazing how far Irish music, the Irish people, have come, and it's the generosity of this country. It's a great honor. Thank you.
We'll play a couple slip jigs here.
No. Let's have a hand for Myron. I think Myron knows more about Irish music than anybody I think I ever met. And we'd like to thank my wife Annie for everything. I don't think any of us, at least this half, none of us would even be here if she didn't have the page. You'd have to see what's going on over there. It's hilarious.
Annie McComiskey there, a proud native of Baltimore, Maryland.
So this last couple of tunes is the first one of this set is called Joe Cooley's. Joe Cooley came out from County Galway, from Peterswell, and he played one of these type accordions, a Paolo Soprani, and it's kind of how they were playing accordions. The great Joe Derain played something very similar to that. Have you heard of Joe Derain? Wow. So
National Heritage recipient 2004, I think, right?
Yeah.
Joe Derain.
So Joe Derain was legendary. In fact, I was just talking to the man the other day. He's alive and well. And we had he's hilarious too. He's great fun. But when Joe Cooley came out, the amazing thing that Cooley had done was without realizing it, he figured out how to play Irish music on the accordion and make it sound like Irish music belonged on the accordion. There have been players before him, great masters, Joe Derain right in there. He way up there, and they brought the instrument right to the precipice there, and Cooley just kind of dunked it. It was spectacular. It was an amazing thing to hear. And when he came out, he came up to the Catskills and he actually played in my godfather's bar. Just the crazy little things you remember. But it was like it was just a really brilliant, charismatic kind of person. And all the musicians came out to meet Joe Cooley. Sean McGlynn adored him. Joe Burke adored him. The great Patty O'Brien from Neenah, County Tipperary. They just loved Joe Cooley. It was an amazing thing to see. And he eventually made his way out to San Francisco. And they're like maybe the late 60s. And he just played in the little bars, and he played in the houses with the people. He was from Galway, so he just played with the Irish people, and everybody enjoyed him, and he was great crack, as they would say. But then this amazing thing happened. The folk community in San Francisco heard that Joe Cooley isn't that famous guy? And they flipped out, and they started having him at the folk festivals. And that kind of, right when that happened, it might have been tops 10 years before Andy O'Brien and Brendan Mulverhill and I were allowed to play at the Dubliner. When Joe Cooley started playing at the folk festivals in San Francisco, that's when Irish music became a part of America's cultural fabric. Really cool thing. So.
It's also on record that while Joe Cooley was in San Francisco, first of all, he was unusual to a lot of the people who were in the so-called hippie scene then, and they adopted him as one of their own, basically. And it's on record that he actually gave an accordion lesson, or maybe a couple, to a young guitar player at the time forming a band. His name was Jerry Garcia. So Jerry Garcia would have crossed paths with Joe Cooley at the time Billy was talking about. I don't know if that's on record, I mean on audio, but it's documented history that they did meet up, imagine.
But if Joe had lived, well, any of these guys, Joe or Sean, well, actually, Sean McGlynn was really fortunate. Sean McGlynn was the first accordion player for the Green Fields of America for Mick Maloney's touring group, which was funded by the National Council for the Traditional Arts. They got a grant, so it's really something. It's really something how far it's all come. So, thank you all so much. I can't begin to tell you what a thrill it is to be here, especially with all of these guys. What do you think? The family and friends. Great, isn't it?
And just one more name call here, just so they have it on record later on, but you heard the names earlier, but I think one more name call is appropriate. First of all, please say hi to our good friend Josh Dukes on guitar. On fiddle, and that fiddle, by the way, comes from a place you wouldn't identify fiddle making with, but it's that fiddle that Angela's playing was made in China, right? China. So Angela Fee on the fiddle, and the Chinese fiddle playing Irish music. Next to Angela, her sister, Catriona Fee on the concertina. On the button accordion, Mikey McComiskey. On the tin whistle, Patrick McComiskey. On the baron, Myron Bretholz, thank you. And thank you to the man who invited us all to play with him today, my dear friend, my brother for life, Billy McComiskey on the accordion. We'll leave you with Cooley's Reel and Marv Miller's. Thanks again.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.